just picking up on something that Maddie was just talking about the all these changes, the loss of freedom of movement in particular, and I just wanted to raise the issue of one particular sector in the music industry, where musicians and creative workers who've lost their freedom of movement now need working visas to travel. They have to pay social security in each EU nation where they work, on top of maintaining their national insurance payments in the UK. And I just wonder if you have any thoughts on what the government could do to rectify and simplify this situation for these workers who are part of a £2.9 billion music industry export revenue stream. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts about, what could be done now and what those workers could be pressing the government to do that might make their lives better.
So I think so this is something that we have done some work on and looked at, and I think that ultimately the issue seems to have been that the UK government didn't want to include a sort of standard mobility chapter within the FTA that the EU has with other countries, and then the UK government I think proposed a sort of bespoke arrangement to try and allow musicians to continue to sort of travel within the EU, but there were sort of caused problems in terms of what precedent that would set for the EU's other FTA. So basically the issue seems to have been that neither side were willing to move on this essentially during the negotiations, and neither of them would resolve it. Now there is a way that the government could look to try and address it. They could look to sign a sort of separate agreement with the EU covering these sectors. And in principle, that shouldn't be an obstacle, given that the EU, in theory, was willing to sort of include a visa waiver for this sector. The question really is whether or not the UK government will be willing to revisit what it had previously rejected. And so I do think that ultimately it seems like it's really about a political will issue. And again, it will depend on whether the EU is willing to sort of have a separate agreement so quickly. In theory, the TCA doesn't stop there being other agreements, there's also a question, I guess, about what sort of the UK government could try and do on a bilateral level. But it does strike me that there probably is things that can be done, but they would require further negotiation. And I think that's the real question, is whether or not there's a political will to do so. Obviously, this is an issue that has gained quite a lot of traction so far, and there obviously is quite a lot of pressure on the government to do something. But so far, it seems like there hasn't been much desire to move. So I think, that is obviously one issue that the Assembly could lend support to, and sort of try and lend support to the concerns that have been raised.
Thank you.